Hello, my name is Ian McNaughton, and you're listening to The Last Great Stanley Cup Finals, a Speak Your Piece series. We review every game from the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals between the Boston Bruins and Vancouver Canucks 10 years after the games have been played. On this episode, SYP Creators Scott Konkin, Ravisher Dhaliwal, Kief Ranada, and I look back on Game 1 from the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, which saw Raffi Torres score the game-winning goal with 18 and a half seconds left in the third period. Yes, Raffi Torres scored the game-winning goal and was on the ice in the final 30 seconds of a Stanley Cup final game. Be sure to catch our recap of Game 2 on June 4th and follow along for the rest of the series as we look back on the last great Stanley Cup Finals. Enjoy. All right, welcome to the special edition Speak Your Piece podcast. This is the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals recap. I at least called it the last good Stanley Cup Finals because I think it was the last good Stanley Cup Finals 10 years ago between the Vancouver Canucks and the Boston Bruins. My name is Ian McNaughton. Thank you very much for joining us. Coming on to the podcast to discuss Game 1 first, SYP creator Scott. Scott, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. My internet works finally, and we're gonna get a good pod in. Hopefully, it holds up. I don't know what's going on with the internet these days, but we're kicking it. We're gonna have some fun for sure.
Are you shipped 5G like someone else in this call is?
Yes.
Nice.
Just get my I'm vaccinated sticker right now.
Yes.
Put it above the NHL logo.
Also joining us, SYP creator Ravisher. Are you wearing the Pedersen jersey right now?
Yeah, the Pedersen Skate Classic jersey.
Beautiful.
Is what I'm wearing. I don't know what this was. That one, I don't know what I did, but I try to get like some Vancouver shit up.
Well, Nashville, we'll talk about it later on. They played Vancouver in the playoffs during 2011. So there you go. There's your connection.
That 117 guy did stuff to them.
Yes, exactly. And then finally, our last but not least guest, SYP creator Kief. Kief, how are you?
Good. Back on the pod. It's been a while and stuff, but anything Canucks related, I'm all for it. And so here I am today.
All right, wonderful. So let's start. We'll start with Kief and Rav because they're the bigger Canuck fans compared to Scott and I. When I bring up just the 2011's playoff run for the Canucks, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Memory, thought, feeling?
Well, I think the main one, just like the memories, is Burrows slaying the Dragon. Is like
Burrows and the Bieksa goal.
The Bieksa goal is like, that one. In my books, that one was like a bit better for me because like I don't know, I just had a feeling we were gonna win that game, but like because I was a kid, so I'm just like, I think we're just gonna win this game, and I had a feeling. But like, I don't know, that Bieksa goal was just like, damn, we're actually going to the finals. That one,
I remember watching that, and it was actually like that feeling of like, oh my god, like it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Scott, what do you remember the most from the 2011 run for the Canucks?
Yeah, again, similar to the boys, it's like again the Burrows goal is still timeless. One of the best overtime goals in playoff history. I would say top 5, arguably. Yeah. The Bieksa goal was pretty sick. I just remember how dominant the Sedins were in the third round against the Sharks. I remember at the time the Sharks were one of the best teams in the NHL by a landslide. I think the Canucks won the President's Trophy that year. The Sharks had won years previous, and it was absolute dominant team. And the fact that the Canucks beat them in 5 games was mind blowing. And led by the Sedins, it was a big thing. And it was unbelievable playoff run.
So we'll go back to before the actual playoffs. So again, Scott touched on it. Vancouver won the President's Trophy. They had 117 points that season. They went 54, 19, and 9, 50 regulation and overtime wins. The Boston Bruins, they went 46, 25, and 11 for 103 points, which is still not bad, but considering they went up against a team with 117 points, is a little bit of a mismatch. And the Bruins had a 3-1 record against the Canucks in 2010, 2011 in the regular season, by the way.
So hasn't played 4 times against them. I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah, but remember at the time it wasn't like the 2 games home and home. It was like you randomly play a series against a team, right? So sometimes you never played a team at all, and sometimes you played it was just different scheduling back then for sure.
Also, that season Canucks had the most goals scored and the least goals allowed.
They were I mean,
We were a powerhouse if you're really talking about it.
I was gonna say like Vancouver was legit, if we're being honest. Like there was no team better than Vancouver, I don't think.
The Sedins were world beaters that entire season. Like Daniel had, I think it was 104.
That was Daniel that season. I think Henrik was either I think it was the season before. He won the Hart, right? But I forgot what season that was already. I think it may have just been the next season.
So I was
season. Probably I think it was the season before, but
I was gonna say, is that peak Sedin's regular season?
Oh, those 2 seasons, yeah. Like that. Yeah. That I think I remember. Oh, sorry, you go.
Sorry, that stretch where basically like they switched from each other winning it, like where like Henrik had it at one point and then Daniel did, like the R. Ross and stuff and all that kind of things. Like those were actually like the peak of the Sedinery. But no, that team, especially also this team, like they had a prime Ryan Kessler, who I think I looked at it earlier had about like 75 points.
Yeah, 41 goals.
Like leading up to
that year. Yeah,
the guy had 40 goals. Like he's like what Ryan O'Reilly is now, but a much better goal scorer. Essentially, imagine that.
And I was going to say, I think the year before when they lost to the Blackhawks in the playoffs, I think that was Pete Kessler because that was, I think, his best season. And I was, if I'm not mistaken, he had 80 points the year before.
He had 75, and then the finals the finals year he had 73, and that's the year he won the Selke.
Okay. So paths to the finals. Vancouver, they beat the Blackhawks in 7 games. Alex Burrows slaying the Dragon, getting it done with a slap shot of all things to beat Corey Crawford. Rockstar. In today's NHL, you get a slap shot game winner, which I mean, I guess BX says with a slap shot too, but it was like a weirder.
That situation was insane.
The Canucks beat Nashville in 6 games, which was kind of a big deal with the Predators because that was arguably the peak of Nashville's existence up to that point.
Oh, to that point, yeah.
Up to that point. Because obviously Nashville has made the Stanley Cup Finals since then. Yeah. But I was going to say up to that point where, was it Austin Watson who was having a good year that year? Like
I think he was a rookie that year, and he was pretty sensational in the bottom 6 of that group.
Shea Weber was having a really good year. That was prime Pekka Rinne.
Let me see who their leading scorer was. Their leading scorer was
David Legwand.
He's 5th. There's a tie, and I think the tie. It's 50 points. Both the leaders are both 50 points.
Okay, was it Martin Erat?
Yes, that's one of them. The other one you have fun. Like you guys know him, but you just start laughing when you figure out what it is. It is Sergei Kostitsyn.
No way.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Full.
He got Kostitsyn, Erat, Hornquist, Weber, Legwand as the top 5 of that team. And was it? Are you sure it was? What's his name? Watson? I don't think it was Watson. I think it was Colin. I don't know. If
Colin Wilson.
Colin Wilson also had a pretty good check.
Yeah, because I don't think Austin Watson was. I think he's only like 25 still. I thought he wouldn't have been playing back then.
Right.
It just feels like Austin Watson, who's now I think with Ottawa.
He's Ottawa bottom 6. Yeah.
And then also after the Nashville series, the Canucks beat the Sharks in 5 games, which was probably the most surprising out of all of them. Was just the ease that the Canucks just beat the Sharks with, like Scott said.
Oh, I know. Gosh, man.
Even going to the Shark Tank and beating the San Jose Sharks, who wore those intimidating black alternate jerseys all the time.
I don't lie, they're kind of cool.
The Shark jerseys honestly have been pretty nasty. Their whole throughout, but even the ones when back in the 90s when they were like just starting, like those were pretty sick too. But
my gripe with them was just the fact they would always wear like the black jerseys, even though they were considered an alternate jerseys. But like, why not wear your home jerseys?
You look at like Arizona with their Kachinas; those were alternates one year, and now they're their main jerseys. And Anaheim,
which I like that.
But they're also really nice.
That's true, yeah, and same with the Sharks. But anyways,
so I was going to
score that one. That year it was Marleau, 73.
Marleau, yeah, makes sense.
That was Marleau, Joe Thornton,
Joe Pavelski was there too,
and Joe Pavelski. Danny Heatley was on that team. That was a really interesting stretch for Heatley because he was on Team Canada at the Olympics before, and then
he had 65 points. He was a good player on this team, like Cloak, Couture, Boyle.
Douglas Murray.
Sorry?
Douglas Murray was like the best shutout defenseman, or one of them.
Doug Murray is like, imagine just Uyghur right now, but like just hits anyone.
Yeah.
And the other, so was Nabokov the goalie, or was that I feel like that was Nabokov.
Nabokov was the year before. I think Nabokov went to Islanders.
Well, that was the thing with Niemi, was that Niemi was with Chicago, and then he got traded over to San Jose because he was a cap casualty essentially.
The thing is, he did not play well in the playoffs, from what I remember. He had a 8.96.
He Martin Jones did. He Martin Jones did.
The 8.96 Martin Jones. Let's go.
Martin Jones has not had a great year by any means. Let's talk about the Bruins then. So the Bruins, they played their rival Montreal Canadiens in round 1 with Nathan Horton getting the overtime winner. So it was kind of relative, like with Boston and Vancouver, where like Vancouver kind of slayed their dragon with Burrows getting the overtime winner in Game 7 at home to beat their big rivals. Vancouver with Burrows getting the big goal to beat their biggest rivals. I just thought that was kind of a weird coincidence, but it was also like really cool. The Bruins then defeated the Philadelphia Flyers in 4 games. That was the year after the Flyers went to the Cup against Chicago, and they were okay. That was like the Michael Leighton run the year before. It was more of luck, I think they got.
That was also the year that the Flyers came back from 3 games down, and I think they beat. I'm pretty sure they beat the Bruins.
I think you're right. That sounds right.
I was so happy.
They beat the Bruins and they came all the way back and beat them.
I think in Game 7 they were down 3-0 too, and they won 4-3, which is like it was like perfect.
Yeah.
And
then the Boston Bruins beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in this Eastern Conference.
I just remember LeCavier he was trying, man. He tried, dude.
That I was gonna say that was a weird series for myself where like obviously Boston was like the established team. They were really good. They were really talented. And then Tampa Bay was kind of like this young up and coming team with GM Steve Yzerman, who you knew there was something there, but they were maybe still,
they were some steps away. Again, Hedman was a second-year defenseman at that point. He was second year in the league.
Stamkos, I think, is only 20. Stamkos is 20. Exactly. And it's just a mixture, I feel like, of a lot of. They got like Oland is 34. St. Louis was 35. Yeah. Rolison and Smith, like Smith's 28 at the time. He's not whatever he is now, but like Rolison's 41.
Yeah. Rolly the goalie was like one of like the coolest stories from that playoffs. Was like 41 years old. I think he was on the Edmonton team possibly when they went to the Cup.
He was. He had a 9.24 at 41 in the playoffs, which is. And he had a 9.12 in the regular season. So like the guy's a good goalie.
And then the Bruins beat the Lightning with a Nathan Horton goal in Game 7 at the Garden in Boston. So another dramatic moment, kind of like with the Canucks and Bieksa scoring in Game 5. And now we've reached the game that we're going to talk about tonight. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That obviously the Canucks won 1-0. Fun facts from this game: Rafi Torres scored the only goal of the game with 20 seconds left in the game. This was the first shutout in 12 Stanley Cup Finals games for the Canucks up to this point, because they did not shut out the New York Rangers in '94. They did not shut out the New York Islanders in '81-'82, their first Stanley Cup Finals appearance. The Canucks had more hits in 5-on-5 play than the Bruins did in this game. Wow. 28-27. And Alex Burrows bit Patrice Bergeron.
I thought that was Game 3.
That was Game 1 after the first period.
Wow. There you go. I remember this Game 1, being an absolute goaltending war. And I remember like sitting on, I'm not sure if I was either sitting on the couch or we were outside. I remember my dad brought the TV out and put it in. You guys remember my old place that had like the super big backyard?
Yes.
And we actually brought the TV outside and put it on like on the fire pit, and we just sat around it, right? And I remember that we were just on the edge of our seat. Every goal, like Lou and Timmy Thomas were making unbelievably good saves and like back and forth, and it was nuts for sure.
So I put a question in here. I didn't know if you guys were going to do any research, but I put this question in. Who had the most minutes of Canucks players in this game? Bolduc, Victor Oreskovic, or Jeff Tambellini?
I can't believe that's one of them. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Who had more minutes? Who had more minutes of those?
Oh shit! I'm on the page. Sorry, I didn't.
No. You know, okay.
No, I don't know. I didn't know.
Who had who played more minutes?
I just rewatched the game.
Yeah.
Leading up to this, like I only finished watching the game like probably like 30 minutes before we started, and I feel like I heard Oreskovic's name constantly.
I'm gonna go with Tambellini.
I'm gonna say Bolduc just because he's a center, and I think there was a lot of penalty killing that game, and he's one of the main penalty killers.
So the guy who had the most penalty or most time on ice that game was Jeff Tambellini with 2:30. Jeff Tambellini played 2 minutes and 30 seconds of a Stanley Cup Finals game. Victor Oreskovic played 1:54. And then Bolduc played 1 minute and 39 of an actual Stanley Cup Finals game.
Is that like a shift? Like a really long? No, he had 3 shifts that game.
That's
three shifts, and Oreskovic and Tambellini had 4.
Yeah, like that's literally
it's insane how Hamhuis is like a gold medalist, like Canadian, and he played 8 minutes and only had 11 shifts.
Well, he got injured later on in this game. We'll talk about that later on. So between Torres scoring the only goal, the first Canucks Stanley Cup Finals shutout in history, the fact that Bolduc, Oreskovic, and Tambellini got minutes in a Stanley Cup Finals game, the Canucks had more hits. Which fun fact do you like the most out of all of them that I've jotted down here? Which one do you like the most?
I mean, for me, I just think the ice time thing is so funny.
Well, I guess the Hamhuis injury gave. Speaking of players that don't belong in a fight, okay, I'm not gonna. Should I make fun of this guy?
Go for it, dude. Go for it. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, Andrew Albert shouldn't be in the finals. He shouldn't be playing in the finals, man. Like, is that too much to ask?
I thought you were
Andrew Albert shouldn't be playing in the finals, man.
I thought you were gonna go with the Aaron Rome route.
Well, I was about to say, yeah.
But like the thing, I guess on top of that, Aaron Rome got more ice time. That gave him more time to do what he did to fucking Horton.
Aaron Rome almost played 20 minutes in a Stanley Cup Finals game.
I think he did. I think he did the other ones.
I remember from watching the broadcast, they were saying that he got moved to the shutdown pair.
Yeah, I remember that part too. He was like on the shutdown pair with Bieksa, yeah. So I'm calling this a penny for your thoughts. Just something to think about. What if Raffi Torres isn't on the ice for the final 30 seconds of this game? Like
the game goes to overtime.
So the game goes to overtime, but do the Canucks still win?
Yeah,
I think we could still win. I honestly do think we could.
I think they win game 1.
Actually, yeah, because I think from watching, my research, I did a lot of research.
Yes.
That the way that they were playing at the beginning, and obviously for certain stretches, but when they were going back and forth, I felt like the Canucks were so unlucky to only have scored 1. And obviously,
there's a lot of games like that, to be honest.
Because Tim Thomas, obviously, he stood on his head. Like, that's the unlucky part. But the Canucks put so much more pressure, and they had to kill 5-on-3s, like, all the time in that entire game. And so I felt like they were unlucky to only get a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
But from watching that game, Raffi Torres scoring, there were a lot of moments in that game where he was like, kind of like skillful, and I was like, man, why does this guy actually have like use?
That's why I always liked Raffi Torres more than I ever liked Matt Cook, just because Matt Cook actually, I didn't think he was good at hockey at all, but Raffi Torres was actually
Raffi Torres. So I searched it up because I was like, I felt like I knew this about him, and then this brought it up. In junior, he was like super prolific. Like
he's
he had
a top 5 pick. The guy was like meant to be good.
Yeah, he had 90 goals, or not 90 goals, sorry, 90 points in like one of his OHL seasons and stuff. Like he was like really good.
That's
And
like a
then-
lot of players though. Like someone like even Tom Wilson with Plymouth had like 80 points in his draft year or something ridiculous. Like he was a good player too. Again, really,
But I think Tom Wilson as an offensive product was way more polished than like Rafi Torres.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I agree with you there. Yeah.
Rafi Torres is that guy to be a pest and
Yeah.
to be an agitator, to be an enforcer.
I mean,
But
he's
also-
been good, and he's like, I feel like it was a yeah, he was a good piece. I liked him that finals, and he's been to finals too, and he's I think with Edmonton, right, like in 06, I think that's when he was at. I think he was on that team, but if he wasn't, like, he still had enough experience. The guy was in the league for 10 years.
So I'm gonna one up everybody with Matthew Tkachuk, because that's like the ultimate version of what everybody expects out of like a Torres, Tom Wilson type is like the Matthew Tkachuk,
That's
Brady Tkachuk, in terms of like skill and physicality. For what it's worth, I think the Canucks probably win Game 1 if Torres isn't on the ice. If Alain Vigneault is not giving Rafi Torres ice time in the last 30 seconds, I still think the Canucks are winning that game.
Yeah, same. I think Game 2. I'm not talking about Game 2, but like we won so quick in that game. I feel like we could have done the same thing in this game.
What if the Bruins had a functioning power play? So coming into this game, or at least Kief and I were watching the NBC feed. 5 of 61. Bruins have converted 5 power plays out of 61 opportunities coming into this series for
That's awful.
8.2%, and they went
Julian.
0 for 4. Yeah, Claude Julien moment, and they went 0 for 4 in Game 1.
That's atrocious.
I mean, yeah, no, that is so bad. But then also, when I was looking at the lines, like guys, like just like looking back at it now, like totally forgot about Nathan Horton and how good he was. Mark Recchi.
Yeah, no, Mark Recchi, like talk about a dude who like was an impact player at 43 in this game.
On this series,
like,
in the playoffs as well.
Yes.
You have like a rookie-ish Marchand coming in. You have a Bergeron that's good. He's not they kind of mentioned it a little bit, but like he was like becoming the guy.
Michael Ryder played good whenever he was
Michael Ryder
That was a good one. That made me think.
Wasn't Blake Wheeler on the Bruins at that time?
No, he wasn't. One guy I forgot. Like their defense was pretty stacked. They got Caberlet. I forgot about that. That's what I think like also helped the defense, just getting someone as good as him.
But Caberlet was a third pairing defenseman on that.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, this guy was like a number 1 defenseman on Toronto, and then he goes there, and this guy's a third pairing defenseman. Like this guy can play top minutes, and he's
who were
playing.
The pairing? I think there was Seidenberg, Chara, Boychuk, Ferentz.
Adam McQuaid got quite a bit of
McQuaid too. Yeah,
I think it was McQuaid, and then probably Caberlet on the bottom pairing there.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's why I'm saying like their defense was stacked. Yeah. Like they had again like Bergeron, Krejci, Ryder, and like all these guys who played defensively. Lucic, Kelly.
Also, Zdeno Chara was just in front of Roberto Luongo, like the screener, and it's just like good luck trying to like look past the Zdeno Chara.
That's just every time with Buffalo, and then it happened with Chara.
Yes. So what if the Bruins had a functioning power play? Maybe this game, maybe the Bruins get a couple more goals. Maybe they get 1 goal. Bobby Lou was really good in this game too. So
if the Bruins had a functioning power play, they would have probably whooped the other teams in the Eastern Conference. They wouldn't have gone to 7 games against Tampa. It would have been an easier competition in the other series. Sorry.
What if Alex Burrows doesn't bite Patrice Bergeron? The penny for your thoughts with that is the fact that this was a physical series, and I think that's what we liked, or at least I enjoyed about this series, was just the physicality, and it was a war of attrition, and now things have changed quite a bit in like 10 years since this finals has happened. But I mean, if Burrows doesn't bite Bergeron, do we still have the same level of physicality And do the Bruins still have like the same fight or aggression that they showed later on in the series?
I mean, they show like that was at the end of the first, and it already looked like I remember one of the first couple shifts, Milan Lucic is like going like full beans at everyone. Like he's already going 100%, just like throwing it around there. And I think also then we get to the Ham Hughes hit eventually. Is that in that first period or in that second period?
Second period. That was after the Burrows biting incident.
Okay, yeah, that's after. But then yeah, like it all like I would say like usually most of playoff hockey you get that like accumulation of physical play, and so then you kind of get that. But then I can definitely see that like it would have been kind of like your average, because obviously I felt like by that time there was no actual like rivalry between them. It was just like, oh, like the champion from the East faces the champion of the West, and like that's just the that's just how it goes. But then yeah, that kind of biting that makes it personal to do that kind of thing, and then eventually later on you get throughout that first game one, everyone's like basically like trying to kill each other on that ice. That really set the tone for the rest of the series. But yeah, I guess I would say maybe wouldn't quite be the same in my opinion, that same level of physicality that we saw looking back at it. But I felt like it was already kind of established, but I think to the next like personal step, definitely without that bite wouldn't have that same kind of edge.
I was going to say the Bruins were a physical team. The Canucks weren't really physical to the same level that the Bruins were. And then I think the Bruins were a little bit awestruck at the fact that one of the Canucks players bit one of their players.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the refs didn't do anything about it. I mean, I think they called a penalty on the play, but in terms of like a suspension or like some like...
There was no supplemental discipline.
Yeah, there was no supplemental discipline. And that's when I also think the Bruins were like, well, fuck you guys. Like... We would get penalized heavily if we bit somebody, but because it's Alex Burrows of the Vancouver Canucks and he's like a key piece of their offensive equation, I still think the series is physical. I don't know if it has the same level of hate towards one another that they both did, but I still think
like that personal edge to it. Like biting someone is pretty personal.
Over like at this point, these guys are like. It's again, like you said, when you guys said it was just a war of attrition at this point, and you're right, and I think it's still going to be a physical, it's still going to be a nasty series, but I think like all of you mentioned, like there's a certain notch that's taken higher where it's like it'd be like I don't know, there's other instances I can think of, the Brad Marchand licking incident, like that sort of thing, or like a big blindside hit or something that just kind of shakes the whole series. Then there's like penalty box shit. And even we can look at even as recent as the Rangers Capitals shit when Wilson threw down Panarin. And then the next game, there was all this shit that happened. This is what happens in a game one. You set the tone for the rest of the series. So it could have gone either way, but for sure.
No, what are you going to say? You guys.
It's even applicable to the Pavelski thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like that from what happened there and that little like set the tone for the rest of it.
Yeah,
leading to the great collapse.
In 2019, that cross check, and
all that stuff. But yeah, no, Rab, sorry, you were.
I was just gonna go back to the power play thing. Like, I feel like you could argue the biggest reason is that they didn't have Savard because of the hit, Matt Cook hit. If he plays, I don't know. Like he's old at the time. I forgot what. Like he was in his
30s. If I'm correct.
Let me see. I have his age. It's 30. He's 33.
Yeah.
Like he's 33, but like Chara's that age. Thornton's that age. Like they're in there. Those guys were already. Those guys are still contributing at that age. Like Savard was still a good player. To have someone as good as him offensively would definitely have helped their power play. And I don't, that like I feel like if he played in the finals, I don't know if we.
Yeah, I think Savard in that setup. I think the Bruins did an overload. I think he was kind of their trigger guy. I think he was their main like shooter on the team and kind of distributor. So it's again a power play without that. It's hard, especially because the Bruins don't have a lot of left-handed like puck driving players like Bergeron, Krejci, Horton are all
Really, the only guy was Lucic. Like, I don't know if Recchi can be doing that much right now,
and
especially
Lucic isn't going to be the guy on the half wall on a power play
Yeah.
in front of the net, right? So it's tricky when you lose a guy like that. But that's probably why it was as bad as it was in the playoffs.
Wheeler was on the team that year, but
He was, yeah.
got traded to Atlanta.
Right.
That if I remember correctly, that's a weird fucking trade tree. The Blake Wheeler trade tree.
Did what's his name make a video about it?
I don't know if Dangle
did,
made a did Dangle make a video about it?
He might.
It's a weird trade. Like if you go back and you look at all that was a part of the Blake Wheeler trade, it was a weird trade.
This is a bit of a sidebar, but I think the Chris Pronger to Anaheim trade tree from Edmonton ended this year, I believe.
It
ended with either ended with Jordan Eberle or Ryan Strome.
Yes, that's
which trade tree was it?
The Chris Pronger to Anaheim.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
But the Blake Wheeler one is like a weird one.
That trade was him and Mark Stewart for Boris Valobik and Rich Peverly. I don't think Valobik ever played for them, but I mean Peverly was an integral piece of the team.
And they made that, and there was like a couple draft pieces I think that went one way, and the Bruins still won the cup after trading away Blake Wheeler.
Yeah, I guess after that too, like Blake Wheeler really turned it up though.
Yeah,
like, that's when Blake Wheeler actually became a really a star winger in the league.
And let's not forget about the Bruins here. They drafted Tyler Seguin second overall, the draft before, which I'm sure you had, right? So again, the Bruins already were a good team, and they traded away Phil Kessel for a bunch of assets the year before in 2010, I believe it was, and they got
him and Hamilton.
Dougie Hamilton as well. But Hamilton was the year after. He
came back. He came in the year after, but just in general, that trade worked out.
I think. Yeah, the Bruins won that trade in a landslide.
Another kind of penny for your thoughts. What if Dan Hamhuis doesn't hurt himself, which we can talk about in the best moment. I thought of the game, one of the best moments, because he laid a really nice hip check on Milan Lucic, if you see in the second period. He required groin surgery after game one, forcing him to miss the rest of the series. If Hamhuis is healthy, are we talking about a different result here in the series? Not necessarily game one, but maybe in the series.
I mean, I think he would definitely steal. So obviously it went to, how it ended. But I was thinking it was just, you would definitely steal some games.
I don't know if
he can bring those losses closer or even change it, because that was like a peak Hamhuis.
Hamhuis was such a force and a presence on that back end. And he was, I would say Bieksa was like the vocal leader, but he was more like that lead by example kind of guy. He was the best defenseman on that team. So I think 100% the series would have changed. I don't think it even would have gone to 7 games. Canucks would have won in at least 5 or 6.
I don't know. I still believe that. I don't know if Dan Hamhuis' mere presence would just help us win these 8-1, 4-0 losses.
Right.
But I think I don't know. I feel like I don't think he stops them. I don't think he can stop them. I guess he is such an improvement over Andrew Alberts. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. I'm just going to get more mad. But I don't know if his presence alone. I just think that's just how hockey's played. I don't know. I've never played hockey, but from what I've seen, it's much more team based than any other sport. Like maybe football, but it's you can't really win off the performance of one player most nights.
Absolutely.
I don't think that Dan Hamhuis helps us win 8-1 these 8-1 losses. Those games, those games, I don't think he can physically just pull us out of we're not scoring. If we score, then maybe, but we're just not scoring. And Tim Thomas, I'm not going to talk about the pads thing, okay? But he kicked their ass, and I don't think Dan Hamhuis really helps with that. I think that was our main issue, was the scoring. We averaged 1.2 goals a game in the finals.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually. It's bring up very good points.
Yeah, but I that's I guess playing devil's advocate to your guys' point about how Hamhuis would have saved it. I do think that him over Alberts is holy shit. I just hate. I don't know. I just don't like Alberts or Rome. I didn't like him when I watched him as a kid, and I don't like him still. I could watch from watching.
Aaron Rome's a great third pair defenseman. He should not play more than 15 minutes.
He doesn't need to be playing 20 minutes in a Stanley Cup final.
There you go. Yeah.
The next thing,
before we get off this Dan Ham, I have a funny little anecdote.
Yeah.
First of all, off the back one performance, Rav, come on, Joel Kief Ranada, the last
Fuck you,
bro. Don't sleep. Anyway,
that's why I said most times, because like you can get there's times in every sport where shit happens, dude. Like that Joel Kief Ranada, that is one of the like coolest moments. Probably the coolest moment of the bubble, I'd say. Like just that, like that whole like the thing of the Game 7. I really like the Stars run. That I guess the Demko's thing could be on top of the Kief Ranada thing.
Also, Demko. Oh, come on. No.
Demko.
Don't even do this.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was happening. Like later on, when I was doing school in the city, part of the hockey academy there, they would take us to like off ice training facilities, and we went to one of them twists down in North Van, kind of like near North Shore Winter Club.
Yeah.
And one of the trainers said that he worked with Dan Hamhuis after that whole thing happened, and like trying to rehab him. I guess eventually he would have to get surgery or after. Anyways, around that time. But he was saying like, yeah, you saw Lucic. He's like, what, like 230 pounds?
Yeah.
Dan Hamhuis has no business hitting him. So like, I don't know why he did it. It looked cool. And I was like, yeah, yeah, sick. I was just like, think about it, like, yeah, the size of Dan Hamhuis and how big Milan Lucic is.
And again,
like,
who knows what underlying injuries Hamhuis had previously, because he could have done like, a slight groin tweak or what it could have, whatever it could have been. And again, that's a lot of weight and the momentum of it. It just, tough spot. But
I just thought it was funny because he was.
I'm gonna say the Predators jersey behind me is a Dan Hamhuis Predators jersey. That's what I'm gonna call it now. Okay, that's what it is now. Sorry for cutting off whoever did. I just had to say that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying it was a little funny. Like, yeah, like, why would he hit him? Like, it's like, why would he?
So, I was good. Anything else before we move on to the next?
No, I was just gonna say like Hamhuis just is one of the most underrated like defensemen like of this generation, I believe. Like he's one of the best shutdown defensemen. He played for Olympic team. Like the guy is a really good hockey player. I like, again, I really like Mackenzie Weegar. So because he's a guy that like, I guess the sport's more offensive now than it was back then, but he's kind of comparable to him, I'd say, but like with less of the hits. So
that brings me to the next segment of the podcast, which I am calling the Dave Bolin best moments of the game.
Why is that? Is that because he scored?
Because the best moment of Dave Bolin's career was scoring the game-winning goal. Was it game-winning or game-tying against?
No, it was Bickle who scored the game-tying one like 30 seconds before that, and like So again, Bickle was really good. Like people are complaining about that contract he got. I mean, poor guy can't play anymore, but like people are complaining about that contract. And he was worth it just for his presence.
Definitely got signed. I mean, nice guy. I'm sure he's really cool.
Oh yeah, he's
definitely got signed for what he did instead of what they were hoping he would do, like for the team. But I'm calling it the Dave Bolin best moments of the game, just purely because Dave Bolin's best moment was scoring the game-winning goal against the Bruins in a Stanley Cup clinching game. So the other consideration I had was Max Talbot, who scored 2 goals against my Detroit Red Wings in Game 7 at the Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think still like Fleury was. Do you think Fleury was MVP of that game, or was it Talbot?
I think it was probably Talbot, if we're being honest, because I mean, I'm a masochist and I just hate myself. But also, I was gonna say I might switch it over to Talbot later on, but it's Dave Bolin anyways tonight because of the Blackhawks.
I think it's like an every week type change because like Talbot scored 2 in Game 7. Fedotenko scored 2 in Game 7.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
There's one. You can use that one. I think that we can just alternate every week.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So best moments of the game. I have a few. First, Hamhuis hitting Lucic with a perfect hip check. And Milan Lucic not expecting Dan Hamhuis to go down whatsoever. And like this was in front of the Bruins bench too, by the way. Like Hamhuis just like squared him up, got him with the hip check. And obviously he injured himself and he was out for the rest of the season. But just purely from like the best moments of this game, it was a 1-0 game that was pretty like sort of a goalie battle. But in terms of looking for best moments, that was a pretty good one.
100%. 100%.
That was followed up by Lapierre taking down Chara in front of Boston's bench. Keep. I don't know if you saw that. If you paid close attention, where after the little scrum that they had in front of the bench after the hit, Lapierre throws down Zdeno Chara.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, you got to go back and watch it. That's pretty cool.
Lapierre was a pest, man.
He was a pest, wasn't he?
Oh god. Even on Montreal, the guy was fucking annoying. I can't believe we got him at the trade deadline.
Then also, Scott helped correct me because I messed up the name, but Marchand then checked the fuck out of Mason Raymond later on in the period.
Yeah.
I think because I think that was still brewing from this incident where Marchand absolutely just with no regard for human life just cross-checked the fuck out of Mason Raymond.
I mean, that's a classic Brad Marchand thing to do.
It is.
I thought you guys were talking about the low bridge.
That too against Sammy Salo? Yeah, there was that one too.
Also Mason Raymond as well.
The Raymond one stood out because that happened after the low brouhaha that happened in front of the Bruins bench with the Ham Hughes hip check. But also that's a good one on Salo.
Yeah, that's a game. Whoever's doing game 3 is gonna have a good chat about that one. Or is it game 4? Yeah, game 3.
No, there was another low bridge in that first game.
Yes. Very good point there. Also, another best moment I have of the game, I just thought BC Ferries Vacations getting a center ice board ad was really just fucking funny. The fact that the BC Ferries is promoting themselves in a Stanley Cup Finals and BC Ferries is shit.
It's a government entity, probably. That's why.
Well, remember the time crossing the pond to the island really wasn't that expensive. 10 years.
I guess it was.
Right? It was cheaper. Yeah. It was better.
But this is also their vacations where every year they promote hey, you should go to the Haida Gwaii for 5 days.
Don't be sitting on Haida Gwaii now. Come on.
No. I'm not shitting on the Haida Gwaii. Haida Gwaii is cool. I'm shitting on the fact that BC Ferries is offering you a 5-day, 4-night vacation to Haida Gwaii where you really should be spending a week at Haida Gwaii. But if you go with BC Ferries, we'll make it much more cheaper and boring. That's why I just hate BC Ferries. This is nothing against Haida Gwaii, nothing against the island. I just hate BC Ferries.
I think I think it's got to be Tim Thomas, man. The guy, I know they lost, but the guy is just a fucking beast.
That was going to be my next question. Was what's the best moment in this game for the Bruins?
Tim Thomas. I would say Tim Thomas making the save on Yannick Hansen's breakaway.
That's a good one.
That would probably be mine.
I think it's just Tim Thomas as an entity.
In general.
Yeah.
Tim Thomas was really fun to watch in this game.
Was this the year that Andrew Ference scored his first goal since 2003 and then put up the middle finger to the Habs fans?
I feel like that's right. I feel like he got
right.
I like the TNT thing where they just Googled Oilers captain and then they just put Ference instead of McDavid on the touch. That was so funny to me.
Someone, sidetrack here. Somebody, because obviously recently McDavid just scored his 100 point in 53 this season in 53 games, and someone took the Oilers graphic of him promoting that he scored 100 points, and they put Andrew Ference instead of McDavid. They photoshopped Ference instead of McDavid. Really funny.
Actually,
Canucks' best moment in this game was the Rafi Torres goal.
Yeah, Torres goal.
So, yeah.
If Hammies didn't get injured, it would be that hit to me.
That's a fair one. The next segment I'm calling the Steve Smith worst moments of the game because if you remember, Steve Smith was the Oilers defender who put the puck in his own net when he was trying to clear it against the Calgary.
That one I think is much more changeable because next week it could be Patrick Stefan or something, and the week after that can be we can all remember when Dan Boyle threw from the corner, just threw it past the block up. I think it was the year prior to this.
I'd also say the Martin Brodeur own goal in 03. Be up there too.
Louis Eriksson goal in his first game as a Canuck.
Oh yeah, Louis Eriksson. We can't disrespect goats like that. You can't.
My consideration. I'm going to throw out Vesa Toskala, where he just let in a goal 93 to 193 feet.
I remember what's another one. Oh god, I can't think of many right now.
I just going back to the segment. I just put in there like Dan O'Rourke's even up penalty. I put goals, but I meant penalties in the second period where they went from like a Seidenberg knee, which was knee. I think it was in the Canucks zone. Seidenberg was called for knee. Rich Peverly hook, which was like kind of weak, but like he kind of did hook him. And then Burrows got called for a tripping penalty, which was like also kind of like okay, fine, I guess if you're gonna call that. This was like I put that in there because now in this 2020-21 season, we've been discussing reffing and penalties and all this bullshit has been a topic of conversation. I don't know if you guys have any I don't know what the Canucks' worst moment of the game was probably Hamhuis getting injured.
Yeah, definitely
easily.
that, I would say. It's another one. I feel like just the scoring chances, man.
There wasn't a lot that happened that game in terms of like events. Like, okay, the Hamhuis injury, yes. The Rafi Torres goal, yes. Outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot that really like was eventful in the game that made a bad moment or right. So it's very, I would agree with Rav there. It's like the scoring chances, yes, but the lack of them not going in. I think that was probably the worst moment for the Canucks.
The fact that Bolduc played 1 minute 39.
That was his only minute he played in the entire finals.
Yeah, that might have been a worse moment. For the Bruins, I guess you go with the goal. That stinks when you give up a goal with less than 20 seconds left in the game, and that's the game-winning goal. That stinks. They kind of got bullied in this game. They kind of got abused and manhandled by the Canucks.
Remember, they came out flat, and let's not forget that Canucks had like a couple days off because they played 5 games, and Bruins had a pretty tough 7-game series against Tampa. They had to fly across the country to play this game, and they were probably pretty bagged. So I'm honestly not that surprised that they kind of got thrashed.
I would probably just go with that.
From what I was saying at the very beginning, the way that the Canucks were playing right off the bat and like in their home building, like everyone's gassed up that like they were so unlucky to have only scored 1 for the Canucks.
There's a lot of times where I feel like we could have scored. I think even the 4-0, like the second one, we lost 4-0 twice, didn't we, in this year? Like I think the first 4-0 loss. Like we put up like 40 shots that game, but you can't score on them, man. You got to score on them. That's the thing.
Roberto Luongo stopped all 36 shots that the Bruins put on him.
Yeah.
And then Tim Thomas stopped 33 of 34. I did figure like the worst one, like the Bruins were abused, like not abused, but like they were outmanned by the Canucks. I think offensively, defensively, I mean, the goaltending was like pretty much a wash. Like obviously Thomas gave up the 1 goal. And then physically too, like the Canucks just beat up on the Bruins really, really, like not really badly, but like you could tell who got punched in the mouth in game 1.
Yeah.
The final segment I have written down, Pierre Maguire NBC mic checks.
Oh God, here we go.
I only found one that was really awful. Like it was actually, I thought for the most part, a fairly decent like called game because it was. We watched on the, or at least like we watched. I had the NBC feed lined up with Doc Emmerich, Eddie Olczyk, Pierre Maguire between the benches for some reason. And
why isn't he between the benches? That's what NBC is. That's why I know NBC for.
So in the 3:30 in the second period, left in the second period, Pierre Maguire says, quote, "Aaron Rome not used to playing against top end players like this," end quote.
I remember that.
And then the Eddie Olczyk with the follow up, "Not very mobile," and that's it. That was like the one, like a really egregious, funny.
No, they actually violated Aaron Rome.
I mean, fucking fair. It's funny because they weren't even wrong. Like they're actually
that's true. But there's probably some even better mic cuts like in games 3 and 4 when Rome and like Albers are getting absolutely walked by the Bruins. So
I just figured because like hockey's for the most part, a fairly conservative sport, and we don't like to trash players. We like to, try and keep things professional, and we try and, like to keep things neat and tidy. The fact that Pierre Maguire and Eddie Olczyk went out of their way to just like slander Aaron
That doesn't
Rome.
really happen much in commentary, does it?
No, it doesn't happen.
Unless you're like Jack Edwards, really. Like it doesn't really happen because it doesn't happen on no, but like it doesn't happen on national broadcast is what I'm saying. Like that's funny.
like CBC, like Jim Houston and Craig Simpson are not going to be saying anything like that about any player. No. And then the fact that like NBC, I don't even think there's any like Vancouver or Canadian or Canuck like anti whatever. I think they just like both saw Aaron Rome probably in the lineup and they're like, oh god, this is not good.
And then him play, he's just not. I mean, he isn't mobile. He's not he's like a very below average shutdown defenseman.
He'd be decent like in 2000, like the early 2000s when physical play was at a premium. He would be like a decent third pair.
Scott Stevens era, the guys that bought like a top 4 fringe defenseman.
Okay, well let's be real. Scott Stevens is unbelievably physical and one of the most
in that era. I'm just saying like in that era, like Rome would be like a fringe top 4, but like I don't think he's even a top 6 in this era. Like
Rome was born too late. That was the problem. That was the problem with Aaron Rome.
DeRozan moment right there. DeRozan.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Aaron Rome not used to playing against top end players like this because he's replacing Ham Hughes. Not very mobile, said Eddie Olczyk. That was again. I'm saving that one for more like the game, the games in Boston. Because that's going to be really like when Schneider replaces Luongo, that's going to be really fun. Anything else? That's all I have written down. That's all I have for Game 1 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, the last great Stanley Cup Finals.
It was called Rogers Arena back then, right?
No, it was GM Place.
Was it GM Place back then?
Let me see this. I feel like it was like the first year it changed to Rogers.
Oh, maybe you're right. Cool, because it was GM Place before the Olympics, and then the Olympics they called it Canada Hockey Place, and then they might have kept it for another year or two, and then they switched it over.
No, it's Rogers Arena.
It is Rogers. Okay, it is Rogers Arena. Okay, cool.
I guess I could argue your statement that I could just argue the whole purpose of the series, that it's the greatest.
All right, go for it then. I'm curious because here's I'll just give my premise for why I called it the last great Stanley Cup Finals. Okay, this was this went 7 games. This was very physical. This was a very intense series. We had stars in this, not actual Dallas stars, but like we had this like stars to promote the series with the Sedin twins. With Chara, Bergeron, Marchand, like Tim Thomas, Luan. We had guys we could promote this, and people would be interested in tuning in to watch.
It was also a Canadian team versus an American team in the finals. That was
also a Canadian team is involved, which is really cool, especially because a Canadian team hasn't won the cup since 1993. Also, just when you get a big city like Vancouver, obviously Vancouver's not going to do great for US TV ratings, and Americans don't really care about the Canucks or Vancouver. But just when you have like Vancouver, like a big city getting involved like this, it's really cool. Outside of when they riot, which we'll talk about after Game 7. But that's why I refer to it as the last great Stanley Cup Finals, because I don't think we've had anything like it.
I guess I was going to argue. I guess I think in that sense, your argument's definitely like is over mine. Like you won the argument already. But I was gonna say 2019 was a really good Stanley Cup Final too.
Yeah,
I really think the Blues, the whole story of that, the franchise, and like Binnington and just like O'Reilly becoming like a superstar kind of thing, and all that stuff. Like I remember just like everything was going well, and like the defensemen, like they were playing amazing. Like Edmondson played fucking great. Parayko was a stud. Like they're like all those guys just played fucking amazing up until
Angelo Bouwmeester were a top, like an elite defense.
Yeah, fucking Bouwmeester. I'm happy he got one too because he deserved one more than probably anyone in the fucking league did.
True.
But like all those, there's like a bunch of like veterans on that team, like Bozak, Maroon, who like Maroon's from there too. So like there's so many stories. Like I feel like that, like, and just going to Game 7 and like And also helped that like Marchand had a shitty change, and that shitty change ended up being the game-winning goal. So I fucking hate Marchand, so I like that too. But I don't know. I think the Binnington story and like just all the stories that came from that was really cool. I see what you mean. that
for everything non-hockey related, I think this is why this was the last great Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
In terms of hockey, like actual hockey play, the Kings Rangers was really good. I thought the Blackhawks, who they play? They beat.
Played the Lightning.
They played that one wasn't as good. I thought the Chicago Boston series was good. Pittsburgh Nashville was kind of interesting for some of the hockey reasons, but in terms of all the like non-hockey reasons, I think the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals was the last great Stanley Cup. Finals.
Speaking in 06, the game-winning goal in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, Carolina versus Edmonton, was František Cabriolet.
Yeah,
that's one I haven't heard in a while. There you
go.
Kief, any last words before we end here? Any thoughts on Game 1 or maybe future games that you have, that you're gonna keep an eye on for the rest of the series?
I mean, yeah, like just from Game 1, like now watching it and kind of obviously knowing the outcome, but like watching it back, it really did feel like that was the Canucks year, especially to see Dragon Slay moment, the Bieksa moment, the President's Trophy. Like it was all going so well for the Canucks. And then you see that first game and you're like, oh, I mean, obviously, 1-0. It was you'd want to score some more goals. But like, if you think about it, it was just like, you're getting all this positive momentum going into this series, and you get a Game 1 and you're like, oh guys, it's happening. This is it.
Three more games.
Yep.
3 more games.
It's like then Game 2 happens and you get that, and like it just it's like such a down the moment. That's why I was like, fuck, do I even really want to get on this? Because it was such a like good moment for our franchise, and just all kind of just like went down.
I think after I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but going back to the San Jose series, they had won or even going back to Nashville, they had won like 9 of their last 10 games with. I think they won game like 5 and 6 against Nashville. I forget what game they lost against San Jose, but they won 4 of those, obviously. And then they won 2 games against the Bruins before Game 3, obviously. So I think they're on an absolute tear through that. To your guys' point about the momentum, and it was disappointing how, obviously, we know how it ended now, but the fact is there was so much going for the Canucks, and everything was on, like seemingly the pressure was on, and it got to them in Games 3 and 4, as we will discuss later. So. But yeah,
I was gonna say with that, after the Burrows goal, you could sense that the Canucks had this renewed energy and spirit about them, and I think that's like that with sort of any team or any sports team when you have these moments of like destiny, of like these things happen, and like it's just part of this magical run that you go on.
I would compare that to the Kuznetsov goal in 2018 in round 2 when he scored. That to me, that example screams that right there, and like you could feel the Caps won the Stanley Cup with that goal.
That's what I thought it was with the Burrows goal. Like I feel like I think at that point, like once you get by that team, the team that's shit on us for 3 years, like
true.
Fucking Patty Kane just sliding around the ice, fucking us, and then just doing the heart celebration and all that for like 3 years straight. It's fucking painful.
By the way.
Huh?
One of the coldest sellers.
Oh yeah, dude, like on the knees. Well, that is, it's so hard. Like, because that's when I started watching hockey, and it's just like it was so hard to watch this guy consistently shit on us, and then they also have fucking Taves and Bufflin, who's playing forward at the time.
Keith and Seabrook too.
Yeah,
I get like a little bit of PTSD when I listen to the Chelsea Dagger song for the Black. I can't listen to that song. It's terrible.
I can't listen to the Green Day song anymore. I mean, I don't listen to Green Day like that, but like I can't even like hear it without finding it 2011 and just like because it's such like a perfect Canucks song. I felt like that, like games, like people didn't like it, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I hate Green Day. I don't even as a Red Wings fan. I don't even mind Chelsea Dagger, but no, you just have those
Real
moments.
Red Wings fan then, big guy.
I've learned to just love hockey, but the thing, like just in general, it doesn't have to be one team specific. But we also talked about moments like when Kane scored the overtime winner against LA, and like the one T, like in 2013, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like we just have these moments.
Knew if he scored, or was that the Philadelphia?
That was a Philadelphia. This one was a different one. It's like on a 2-on-1, right?
Yeah, the 2-on-1 where they joke. I think it was either Taves or Seabrook who like.
Oh, you said
looking,
It was
Yeah.
Taves to
the
Kane.
Kings one.
Taves to Kane, where Taves was apparently looking at the board. He was looking at the glass, like seeing where Kane is. That's apparently the thing that people were saying. That was the alleged thing. Anyways, the other thing I want to mention before we go, Game 1 had fans in attendance. And for us, we like, as of recording this, I mean, obviously some fans have been in attendance in various sporting
I think
events.
like I think every American team has fans in attendance now.
I think so.
At least some. Yeah.
But I was gonna say in sports, it's a mixed bag of how many fans are going to games and whatnot and who's all attending. I don't know if it was all noticeable in Game 1 because it was just a 1-0 game, but you could tell when the crowd gets excited when there's a big save or a scoring opportunity, and I'm really starting to come around on that and miss that again of just like fans and people and just energy and buildings, especially when it comes to a playoffs and a finals like that.
Even
I mean,
just where you gonna say?
there's just nothing like it, and
There's nothing like it.
That's like watching like Florida and Texas examples right here where they're having full stadiums of people. But like just UFC where Bruce Buffer just like he can say it's time and like the whole arena erupts. And then like yesterday in the Canelo fight where Michael Buffer's like it's ready to rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. And there's 75,000 people like just that like just cheering like like that's just like perfect. I feel like it's so much worse without fans. Like the Jake Paul. I mean, it's Jake Paul Ben Askren first off, so it sucks anyways. But like like Michael Buffer 2 weeks ago had to do that, and then 2 weeks later he's in front of 75,000 people and so much more electric when he's in front of 75,000 people instead of zero.
Well, I was gonna say, and in the 2020 playoffs when what's his name from Dallas who scored the game winner in overtime, like what's his
Last
name?
year?
Yeah, last year.
Gurianov.
Yeah, like it's been so long. I need to update my names, but like just those type of electric goals, or even the Stamkos goal, goal in the finals last year, where Stamkos played 1-2 shifts in one game, and he scored a goal, a beautiful shot over Khudobin, and
Stamkos is fucking sick, man.
It's just like that's an awesome moment, and that would have been even better if there was fans in attendance to see that and be a part of it. And fortunately, there's fans in 2011.
Could you imagine if they're fans for that Anthony Davis shot in the bubble last year? Dang.
Yeah, like just stuff like that, where it's just like you wish there was fans in attendance to see these moments and make the energy and make the moment feel greater. Any final words, any other final thoughts before we head out here and call it a wrap on episode 1?
I was going to try and find, I mean, I know Kessler won the Selke in 2011, but I think I saw that, I don't know, I can't find it anymore, the page, but I think I saw like Lubomir Vishnevsky was like, someone got voted as a, I don't even know what it was. It was like,
I think it was Lady
like a heart. No, I think he got a heart vote, or it may have been Lady
Norris, maybe a Norris, hopefully.
Well, he definitely got a bunch of Norris votes, but I think
that's all. I hope that's all.
Because he had like 70 points that season, and
wasn't he on the Ducks that year?
Yeah, he was on the Ducks.
Let's go. I think Corey Perry won the Hart in 2011.
Yeah, I really think that's his voter fatigue. Like Sedin really should have won it just because his brother won, and I guess people didn't want to give it to him.
Yeah,
I just think it's cool. And I just remember.
Go ahead.
I didn't have anything.
I just remember thinking at the time though, like you got past Chicago in 7, and then Nashville in 6, and San Jose in 5. I'm like,
and
Yes, I had that thought too. Boston.
it's like 2 games you're already in, and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm right.
I've
Fucking
done it.
did it.
The patterns. I see these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know numbers. I can predict this.
Yeah.
I am Rain Man.
I guess that was the point. And this also, I forget, Dennis Seidenberg is probably like the best German player of all time. Maybe Marco Sturm.
Ooh.
At that point. Yeah.
At that point, you're saying at that point, okay.
Yeah, at that point, like, I mean, if you're gonna be on it, well, if you're gonna be like all about it, like, I guess Heatley was born in Germany, so I mean,
yeah,
like, so like, I guess he's the best.
Wasn't Christian Ehrhoff German?
Yeah, he was German too.
Yes,
Apparently Grabowski was German, or he born in Germany, but he played for.
Grabowski's Belarusian, isn't he?
Yeah, but he plays for.
Wasn't there like a sneaky good Belarusian team in the Olympics with like the Kuznetsov brothers?
Well, yeah, you just got the Kuznetsov brothers, and then you got a bunch of KHL guys in there too.
Yeah.
Not Nick Antropov. He was from Kazakhstan.
He was Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Nice.
But dude, Germany has a good fucking team now. They got the goalies. They got Greiss and Grubauer. They got like all
their forward group's pretty nasty too.
Fuck, who's the draft pick I'm thinking of? Like, I know, like,
Moritz Seider.
There's Seider. There's also
Seider. There's one more
from Buffalo. There's
Paterka.
also
He's fucking
Chicago.
He's sick.
Yeah.
Paterka's sick. I watched it.
Dave Paterka.
All right.
Reichel's pretty nasty too.
Dominic Ball.
All right.
Yeah, true.
All right, we're getting off topic with the German hockey conversation, but thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to all 3 of our guests, Rav, Kief, Scott, for coming on and doing this. It's greatly appreciated. We will have episode 2 coming out shortly, and hopefully you tune in for that and you listen to that as well. Thank you again, and this has been episode 1 of the last great Stanley Cup Finals, a recap of the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals. So, thank you very much for listening. Peace out.